Hello, everyone. Welcome to another segment of the Masterpiece Lounge with Chrisnatha. As always, I am so excited to be here with you again today. And guess what? I have a special guest with me. So I'm not alone today. Okay, I have the Mia Bradford here with us today. And so I want to share just a little bit of information with you so that you can know exactly who you are about to hear from. Okay, Mia Bradford, she is the founder and financial self-care coach for Beyond the Busyness. She helps high-achieving women go from busy to balanced by implementing simple self-care strategies for financial and holistic well-being. She empowers women to give themselves permission to release the guilt from taking time for themselves, right? Because we're always feeling bad, right? So that she helps women release the guilt from taking time for themselves through virtual and online events focused on building a strong financial foundation, aromatherapy, yoga, and alternative methods of health and wellness. She's an aerial yoga instructor, a 200-hour yoga instructor, licensed financial professional, and she's a travel junkie, a woman after my own heart. Her ultimate passion is to educate, empower, and inspire others to actions that allow them to meet their goals. She has a BA from UCLA in economics and a master's in school counseling from NYU. So as you guys can see, she is incredibly impressive. So without further ado, I am introducing and welcoming to the Masterpiece Lounge, Mia Bradford. Hi, Mia.
Hey, Chrisnatha, how are you?
I am amazing, and I'm even better now that you are here because you have such good insight to tell us today, and we are excited to hear because we know you're going to give us some incredible nuggets. And so I want to say, even though I shared your incredible bio with everybody, I want to ask you, who is Mia Bradford?
Well, first, thank you so much for having me on today. I'm super excited to be here and share with you. So I love that question so much. Who is Mia Bradford? And, you know, in my yoga teacher training that I just completed, well, I'm almost finished completing, we were asked that same question. And the first thing that came to mind for me is, number one, I'm a child of God. That's most important. That's my foundation. I'm also love. I am light. I am an encourager. I believe in women's empowerment. And my true heart's passion is to help women of color to meet their goals through their well-being. So whether that's holistically, because we are multifaceted individuals. And I really want to see women thrive and be successful spiritually, emotionally, physically, and financially, so that we can be in a place where we can give our gifts to the world.
That is amazing. Thank you, Mia. That is so awesome. And I also wanted to say that in introducing you, I mentioned that you are a financial self-care coach. And it's so awesome because most of the time when you hear self-care, you don't always hear the financial aspect attached to it. But I truly believe that they go hand in hand. So that's really awesome that you are a financial self-care coach, and that you just believe, like you said, holistically, for us to be well, for us to be healthy in every aspect of our lives, and including our finances as well. And with you being a self-care coach specifically, what are some misconceptions that people have about wellness, yoga? What are some misconceptions, and what are some benefits for some of the viewers who maybe have never tried it or don't know too much about it?
Great question. So one, a lot of people don't think finances and self-care go together. That's like a very new concept. It's a concept that it's basically, I've married two of my passions. Ever since I was little, I knew I wanted to be a businesswoman and do something around money. Like I was always fascinated with investments and businesses and entrepreneurship. And then I always loved working out. Like my parents had exercise equipment that collected dust because they didn't use it, but I will always use it. I loved exercising ever since I can remember. and doing, you know, the equipment and all that, because I always wanted to be healthy. Like, I remember learning about like the different food groups in school, and I would tell my mom for dinner, like, I need to have this much vegetables and this much protein and all of that. So I've always been like a nerd. So some of the misconceptions, so that's one of the misconceptions, is finances and self-care don't go together. But to me, and you know, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, you know, if your money is not right, your mind is not right.
Yes.
So you know what I'm saying? You know, it affects your mental well-being. So if we have our money in a place where we feel, I don't like to use the word comfortable, but feel like we have control over our finances, then we're able to be in a better place in other areas mentally. You know, if you are a natural giver, for example, and your finances are good, you can be more generous. So your finances actually just magnify who you already are as a person. Secondly, the misconceptions around yoga. So first of all, you know, yoga is what you want it to be. And that's what I learned in my yoga teacher training. You know, yoga can be, it is a philosophy. So, you know, I am a Christian and I believe in Jesus Christ. And a lot of Christians that I've met are like, oh no, we can't do yoga because, you know, you're worshiping another God, you're chanting, you're doing this and doing that. Now, there are people who chant. Doesn't mean that you have to chant. Right. There are people who use it as a religion. You don't have to use it as religion. And I think that is where your mindset comes into play, because I've learned to eat the meat and spit out the bones with anything I do, because, you know, the Bible says you have to be in the world, but not of the world. So you really can't avoid certain things in the world. Like, if you have a job, you are in the world, and you don't work at a church, you in there. Okay. So let's just be clear. So in terms of misconceptions with yoga, again, you make it what you want it to be. It started out for me as a healing practice. Really, well, I started on the ground yoga when I was in college. And then I found aerial, and I was like, I'm not doing the ground anymore. I'm over it. I'm not doing that. I love being in the air, because for me, it was a sense of release. It was fun. Just like when you were little and you were running around on the playground and flipping on the monkey bars, that's what aerial was like for me. Right. And mind you, I'm not that flexible. I'm not as flexible as a lot of other people, but I'm able to do certain things. And so it was like, it was just like a challenge for me to overcome. And then with the benefits, now that I've been trained in ground yoga, I realize yoga is really about meditation and connecting with your breath and connecting with yourself. Because a lot of us are not connected to how we really feel and what's really going on in our bodies. And we hold a lot of stress and tension in our bodies. Like, especially Black women, we hold tension in our hips. That's why our hips can be very, very tight. And so I learned how to release. Like, after I do a certain yoga pose, like my mood will drastically increase, because it's like I've learned how to release anything I was holding in my body that was negatively impacting me.
Oh, that is amazing. I do have to agree that we do hold any type of tension or even trauma in our body. And I think that's why even if we get a trigger of something that happened in the past, a negative thing, it just affects us, right? And so I do agree that we hold things in our body. Are there any age restrictions for yoga? Is there like a certain age that you have to be before you can start?
No, not at all. I actually do yoga. I've done yoga with my 9-year-old niece, especially aerial. I've done some poses with my 3 and 4-year-old nephews. So they are actually really good, the kids, to do yoga with, because they're already pretty bendy and they're used to being in school where, you know, they follow whatever the teacher says. So if you kind of keep the pace up for kids, they can do it. Then for my parents, you know, I took a yoga class yesterday that was just really, I don't know what it was, but like I was almost in tears. I guess I had released some trauma because of the poses that we did. And I was just telling my parents, I was like, y'all need to come up here. Like, I kept yelling over the stairs, come up here and lay on this mat with me and do this yoga. And my parents were like, yeah, we can't get on the floor. So I said, you know what? That's okay. I know how to do chair yoga. So I promised my parents probably sometime this week that I'm going to teach them chair yoga. So if you have older women or men in your family and they're like, I'm not getting on the ground, or, oh, I can't kneel, I can do a whole routine with you using a chair.
That
It's
is
no excuse.
awesome. That is awesome. That's so good to know that there's so many different ways that we can practice yoga on the ground, in the air, and even in a chair. So that is amazing. That is awesome. Now, I know that you are the self-care coach and you're also the financial coach. And I want you to tell us more about Beyond the Busyness. Tell us what it's all about.
Absolutely, absolutely. So here's a little secret. I'm actually developing an experience because what I want to do is help people who either A, have some type of negative experience around money, like maybe you don't want to deal with it, maybe you don't like numbers, anything like that. I really want to work with that group of people and use yoga and aromatherapy as a healing modality to then get them on a new trajectory with their finances. So I'm developing that program right now. But in the meantime, just to kind of tell you a little bit about the services that I provide, one thing I do, so I do teach aerial yoga at a studio in Missouri City, Texas, Crystal Yoga Studio. I teach beginners. That's my jam. I love teaching people who are brand new and getting you over that fear of being in the air. It's really amazing once you start flying. So I teach that twice a week, but I also teach ground yoga to anyone who is in my Beyond the Busyness Facebook group. And that's it's totally free. And I do that for my group members in order to promote wellness. In addition to the yoga, I incorporate aromatherapy into my live sessions. So aromatherapy is basically the use of essential oils for emotional wellness as well as other types of wellness. So I use essential oils. I don't take any pharmaceuticals. I haven't consumed pharmaceuticals in over 3 years. If I have a headache, tummy ache, which I did yesterday, I use peppermint essential oil and I'm fine today. So,
That is awesome. Awesome.
Yep. No aspirin, no Pepto-Bismol, none of that. And it's not to say that, a lot of people are just like, yeah, I'm not giving that up. But I say, hey, you got to think about side effects, right? And what can we do to replace things that may be harming us later with something natural today? It just takes some education. So that's why I educate people on aromatherapy, educate people on yoga. And finally, with the finances, I offer financial needs analysis. I offer debt elimination, certain retirement accounts, insurance, and I help families to establish their wills and trusts so that they can leave a legacy for their families.
That is awesome. That is so awesome. And I love the way that you're tying together wellness and wholeness, right? And making sure that we are good in our body, we are good in our bank accounts, and that people are having conversations about legacy, especially in times like this, right? What happens to the family if the head of household or one of us are no longer here? What are the plans? How do we make things come together? And so it's so important to have those conversations. I think sometimes even in our community, at least historically, those conversations were hard to have, or maybe sometimes people or families avoided them. So it's really important and awesome that you are providing just a space for people to feel safe and to be healthy all around. So I'm so happy to hear that. That is amazing. And with the pandemic and everything going on, have you seen an increase in yoga, women of color specifically wanting to get themselves together, or maybe they're experiencing some type of anxiety and they want to come in and practice mindfulness and come in and start stretching and meditating? What has been the response that you've had in the last couple of months?
Oh, wow. It has been amazing. Like, I'm not going to kid you. My business has been going extremely well because I feel like now people have the space and they're more open-minded to self-care. because before everybody was busy, which is why I call my business Beyond the Busyness, because it's only when you get beyond just doing and going can you really tap into self and tap into self-care and what you really need. So, you know, I do a class for the Lighthouse singles every week in addition, and then I invite my group in. And there is a movement. The yoga school that I graduated from, the Apprentice Yoga School, she has a whole movement on Black yogis. And she has a shirts that say like Black yogis matter. And then I joined this group called Black Girls Yoga, I think it is, Black Girl Yoga Group. And, you know, I never really considered myself a yogi because, you know, I'm not on the mat. I'm always in the air, right? Mm-hmm. But then I started, you know, after I did my training, I started looking and I'm like, this is very insightful. And I took the class I talked about that I took yesterday was through the Black Girls Yoga Group. And I was like, wow, this class was epic. And I found out through the pandemic that there is a yoga type, the one on the mat, I should say, that's for me. I love doing yin yoga. I never really liked like vinyasa or hatha or anything where it's like hardcore. Mm-hmm. That's not for me, and it's okay. Like my hardcore thing is in the air. And that's what my message to other women as well is that there is something that is for you, and yoga helps to relieve tension, stress, trauma. It also helps with anti-aging, strength, flexibility. There's so many benefits. And I would just encourage everyone who's listening to just try different types and see what works for you.
That is awesome. Thank you, Mia. So listen, you have shared some incredible stuff with us today. And so I want to know, and I know the viewers want to know, how can we join your Beyond the Busyness community? How can we stay in touch with you? Please tell us how we can do that.
Sure. So I am on Instagram and Facebook as Beyond the Busyness. And if you're looking for a self-care community, we do everything from book clubs to virtual parties. I do like DIYs, all kind of things in the group. It's called the Beyond the Busyness Summer Self-Care Community. And so it's a private group. You do have to answer some questions to join. It's just really about your self-care practices. And that's pretty much it. And then you can join on Facebook. I approve you, let you in, welcome you in, and you just jump into all the events we have to offer. We also, and it's not about me. I really want it to be a community. So I've encouraged the members. I'm like, hey guys, post. Because I've been in groups where, you know, I wasn't allowed to post and I'm like, well, what is the point of me being here? Like, I don't like it where it's just like, you have to listen to what I have to say. That's not my thing. So I'm very collaborative and I would love to have you in the group and just shower you with self-care tips and you shower us with your self-care knowledge and we just grow together.
Awesome. That is amazing. Oh my goodness. Okay, guys. So I am also linking, I'm including the link to the Beyond the Busyness group in this description. So make sure that you join the community, engage, be active, share. Like Mia said, she wants engagement. She wants you to be a part of this positive self-care community. Mia, thank you so much. We've learned a lot. We are super, super excited. This is Mia Bradford, our financial self-care coach. She's going to help us get our money together, help us get our mind right, help us practice mindfulness, get rid of all this trauma that we're holding on to in our bodies, and provide a community where we are safe and we are continually to work on our healing. Mia, thank you so much for being a part of the Masterpiece Lounge today. We were so happy to have you.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, guys, as always, thank you for joining me, and meet me back here same time, same place, for the Masterpiece Lounge with Chrisnatha. And remember that I am a masterpiece and so are you. I'll see you real soon.